Hello, my dear friends, and thank you so much for coming here. My name is Swapnil Saurav. I'm here to maybe bore you with a couple of stories from my life. The first story I'm going to narrate is when I started working in fields of AI or artificial intelligence, which was probably more than a decade back. The first email which I saw on the project I was working on was from a client, and this client had sent an email, and that's how the first line read. It said, "Hey Swapnil, can you please help me to implement AI?" I was like, "Implement AI? Okay, sure. I'll probably have my robots army sent across to you and they will implement AI." But then when I scrolled that email down, they had mentioned that they had piles of Excel sheets which they needed our help to make sense out of it. It was a supply chain companies, and the supply chain process was broken, which was built on the Excel. And of course, they wanted us to help them to fix that. And that was my first learning, okay? And I realized that AI doesn't begin with AI. It actually begins with messy human, messy data, and sometimes messier intentions. It's very much like the gym membership when we all, on New Year Eve, 31st December, we all want to be fit, right? We all want to go and enroll in a gym membership, right? So, 1st Jan, we all go excited, energetic. We go, we take selfies with dumbbells and machines. And what happens after 2-3 days? It dies down, right? And exactly that's what happens with AI projects in companies. Companies, it's a buzzword these days, so they all want to get onto this bandwagon. They talk about AI, they use jargons like predictive analytics, machine learning, synergies, and these words you will hear moving around, people discussing in corridors, in boardrooms, in meeting rooms. But what happens? They start with some pilot project with much fanfare and with full energy, and then after few days, these projects also die down silently. The hype of AI is real, and sadly, even the heartbreaks that we see with these projects are also real. The real question here is not what AI can do. The real question should be, should we adopt AI? What is the purpose of using AI behind? Do we have the right systems in place? Do we have the right data in place? What happens when you have, I'm sure most of you have come across friends whom you meet at parties. They take a couple of drinks, and with confidence they start talking about quantum physics to you, isn't it? Same thing happens with AI systems which are built on garbage data. When you provide data which is garbage, these AI systems will become confident and they'll tell you the garbage story, okay? Which of course is no use to any company. Now, I'm going to talk about a couple of stories where we have successfully implemented AI systems, and I'll tell you the reason behind them. The first project that comes to my mind is the one that we implemented at an online fashion retailer. Online fashion, it changes almost every 3 to 4 months. So these companies, so the team from this company came to us and they said, we want to implement a system which will help us to predict what to sell in the next season. The system should predict us that these are the products that we should be selling next season. We went there, we looked at the data, we looked at various data like their sales history, the kind of products they're working on. We even looked at the social media buzz because fashion is mostly driven by the social media. And we also looked at the return data, the product that were being returned to this company. And what we figured out using AI system was that these returns were creating problems. The problem was not with the products they had, but with the sizing. And AI, the system that we built there, actually told this loud enough for the team to realize that first fix your sizing, and that's why customers are returning the products to you. So, moral of the story here is that AI systems will help you listen louder. Second story I want to narrate here is about healthcare. We implemented a model at a healthcare company where we looked at their X-ray reports, mostly from chest X-rays, and it would recommend about the chances of tuberculosis to doctor. It would look at the X-ray reports and it will tell kind of how much, okay, or what's the stage of tuberculosis, or can we predict TB at that early stage. It actually helped doctors. Doctors we know are heroes, but systems like this actually make them superheroes. One of the doctors actually came to our team and said that he was impressed with the AI system because not only these systems help them detect these diseases or problems early, but also help them like their assistant. So what's the story here? Okay, the interesting part here is that the systems are actually helping us. Shouldn't the tech system help us? Right? It's not about replacing humans, but it's about making our job better. It's about making us perform better. And that's what these systems are. Based on my experience over what I have done for more than a decade now, I have come up with a 6-step strategy, which I call it as vision to value framework. Okay, any project that you start should start with question like, why should we do this? And that's what I call it as vision. You need to have a vision, long-term vision. Then the second stage comes your strategy, where you look at the problem and design what way should we approach it. In fact, in short, what I say is that it should amplify the human effort. Okay? Third is data. As I said earlier, data is the critical aspect of any system that you build around AI. Okay? Your data should be complete, should be clean, should be correct, as well as contextual. The step 4 is where you actually build a template, or what you call as you implement it as a shorter or at a smaller model level. The reason being that this is the time where you test the system, you want to see whether it is working or not. Okay, you test it, and if it has to fail faster. But when you have built it and you have seen that it actually gives you value, that's when you move to the next stage. Next stage is taking these prototypes to a higher level, or you scale your prototype, or you scale your implementation, which would mean taking it to bigger markets, taking it to multiple markets, taking it to multiple clients, or maybe taking it to multiple geographies that you might have to implement it. So that's where you can actually realize the value. And the last step in this framework is what I call as govern. Right? Govern is a process of making sure that the project or the intention with which you have designed these systems are performing well. It's kind of guiding the way it is being implemented, it's being handled. You can actually see whom it's getting benefited. And at the end, you also want to measure the value. Are you getting the right investment, or are you getting the required output that you expected before you started this journey? So this 6-step process that I have mentioned, is not a rocket science. I'm sure most of you would be doing at your work, but definitely these systems actually help you to avoid rocket science kind of or rocket kind of disasters. Right? These systems is, as I said, is not a rocket science, but they definitely help you to avoid rocket-like disasters. Over the years, what I have realized is that the biggest myth that we have amongst us is that AI is going to replace human, which entirely is not true. AI, I don't think, is going to replace humans, but definitely it's going to replace those with people who can use AI better than those who can't. So, right? So if you are able to use AI better than the rest, of course, your job is not replaceable. But if you don't know how to use it correctly, of course, it is online. What is the key skill that we need to build in this era? Okay, see, systems can process billions of tasks, but what it can't do is have care in it, or ask right questions, and have connect with the people around it. So the biggest skill that we need to build in this era is, of course, know how to automate it, as well as how to connect, how to care, how do you make sure the system that you are implementing is actually helping someone. So the question that we ask is not about what kind of systems to implement, but the question we should be asking is, who is going to get benefited? Is it really going to help someone, or is it going to be just like a fancy system in place? It should be easier, not fancier. So next time when somebody says that, oh, let's go and implement AI, ask that question, who is going to benefit? What is the purpose behind the system? Okay, and that's when you actually go ahead and implement it. Few weeks back, someone said that in future, the IT systems are not going to be what IT systems are doing today, but they would be like HR system of AI. And I totally agree with that fact. Okay, there is some things which AI can do, like processing billions of data, as I said, but end of the day, it's about having that human connect. It's about making sure the system that we are implementing is actually helping some real individuals, right? It's helping people. It's actually solving some problem. How do you make sure that systems are helping the problems solving in the real manner, not actually making it more complex for the individuals? So what I truly believe is that features are not going to be built by machines. Features is going to be built by people who uses this machine well. Thank you so much for your time. Thank you.